Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greeting peace and prosperity for all. I'm very honored to join and become as moderator for this event. So before we start for session 2, I would like to give a bit a summary, and then I would like to get connected between discussion and from session 1 from the Mr. Hans and connected to my discussion and session 2. My conclude from the session 1, it's mean CSR rule and regulation session is one focus on standard rule and regulation for the CSR, especially for mining company in Indonesia and also ASEAN on community development. Then the second one, this point is more important. It is about sharing knowledge about the standard for the preparing sustainability report for the company. It is with the rule and regulation. So, and we continue the session 2, and then we try to make connected between the company is more give a choice because a lot of standard to offering for the company to choose where is more good to preparing for sustainability reporting. So for understanding more detail about how the issues, we will bring two expert presenter in this area. Now, Ms. Dewi Fitriasari is delegate from Indonesia, will explain about the corporate sustainability report can help inform national SDGs. This time of yours. Thank you.
So good afternoon, Bapak and Ibu, and the honorable guests of this workshop. I know that we are all in a very critical moment in which it's near lunch. And that's not the very time for everyone. Everybody is thinking to be out there instead of in this room. But we still have just a bit of material to discuss together. I would like to put it as a discussion rather than a lecture because I am here in this room with the best practitioners of responsible mining in Indonesia. Please give an applause to yourself, Bapak and Ibu. Okay, so you're all very familiar to the 17 SDGs. This is something that you have seen since 2015 when we started with SDGs, and the previous presenters also presented this before. I'm just reminding you that these are all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that we have, but what we have in Indonesia is not necessarily as what you say as the original UN SDG, because every country is supposed to make a priority on the issues, and that is exactly what Indonesia is doing. And as I told you that I'm doing research with my colleagues in Japan, they also reported the same thing. So if Indonesia poverty is in the top priority, in Japan, it is the longevity is the top priority. Let's return to the purpose of this presentation, which is what can a sustainability report do to support the SDGs. First is to focus, to direct or even redirect or refocus on the Indonesia localized or adjusted SDG. And yes, we still need the report as our Bapanas, as the coordinator of the UN SDG in Indonesia, they always need information from all of you about what you do. And that will be great if actually there is a reporting system from local to national level about SDG initiatives in all industries, direct to Bapanas, and so everything can be coordinated there. That is something that we can talk about. in a different occasion later. And the third one is the transparency. That is also the important message here. The transparency in the sustainability activities as related to SDGs. I know this is difficult because in coal and mining, there might be cases when you need to reconsider what you can put or cannot put in a report as related to law and regulations and also as related to legal issues. But in sustainability reporting, we have ways to disclose that as much as what we have in the accounting or financial reporting when it comes to spatial conditions as related to legal issues. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your participation. Thank you very much. I welcome questions from you later. Ibu Linda.
And then the second, maybe I just keep to wait couple minutes because we have still one expert presenter from the Philippines. I introduced Miss Catherine, is delegate from the Philippines as expert in the using AETI, the standard for the sustainability report for the energy company in the Philippines. Maybe the time is yours. It's maybe 10 minutes, yeah? Thank you.
Before I proceed to the presentation, I would like to introduce that our division chief from the Department of Energy is also here, and as well as the private sectors. So we've choose to present on this session the Philippine Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, as this involves both the mining sector as well as the energy industry that includes metallic and non-metallic minerals, as well as the fossil resources such as coal, oil, and gas. Membership to this PHEITI is voluntary, but the extractive companies are being encouraged to participate and be an active members. So for the background, what is PHEITI? So it promotes a global standard transparency in extractive industries such as the mining, oil, and gas. It also requires extractive companies to disclose what they pay to the government. And also, it requires the government to publish what they collect from these companies. The Department of Energy, Department of the Interior and Local Government, the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines, the Petroleum Association of the Philippines, and the Bantay Kita. So the Philippines was admitted as an EITI candidate country in May 2013. It underwent validation in 2017 and declared by the EITI International Board as the first country to have attained satisfactory progress in meeting the requirements of the EITI standards for a good governance of oil, gas, and mineral resources. So this figure only states that from licensing and awarding of contracts to extractive companies to the monitoring of production where revenues are generated, the companies disclose payments made by the government through taxes, levies, tariffs, and duties. This process is made possible by the EITI, where the government revenues and company payments are disclosed and independently assessed. The findings are then communicated to create public awareness on how to best manage our resources. So for the Transparency Awards, the PHEITI Transparency Awards are held annually during the PHEITI National Convention and Country Report launch, giving excellence awards in reporting for government and industry sectors. For 2019, the Department of Energy recently received the Transparency Award as the 2019 Excellence in Reporting Award for national government agencies. So that's all, thank you.
Now is a question and answer. Before we go to question and answer, I would like to give a conclusion from this session 2. From this session, so we have many differences standards from the preparing sustainability report. This is the, I like to highlight about the workshop from the first session to second session. It is, we now about the many different standards from the ISO 26000 from Mr. Hans, and we know about the GRI, and then others from the experiences from the Philippines. They introduced about the ITE, extractive industries transparency initiative. Then all standard, as we listen from the morning to now, they have benefit each from the GRI ISO 26000 to IETI. So, and the second, I would like to highlight about the Ms. Devi presented about the how to business transparency on sustainability to support the SDGs, and then they can sustainability report can support the SDGs from the two perspectives, from the internal and the external perspective. From the internal, we should understand as a materiality meaning, stakeholder engagement and define, and from the external perspective, we should understand about the local partnership, local priority SDGs, and the actual measurable impact on society. And then from the Ms. Catherine, the ITE is focused on the financial and the cost of the environment material resources. It is more have to highlight is the more public awareness for the natural resources management, and then more concern about the data reconcile from the financial template we can get, and then get the data gathering, and then we can consolidate. It is the conclusion from the second session. So I gave maybe first 3 questions, maybe from the first, I would like to ask, especially because in the morning I'm not really sure about the experiences from other countries rather than Indonesia. Please, maybe the delegate from the Malaysia, Laos, and Thailand, please give maybe more contribution and sharing experiences in your country about the sustainability report, or maybe about the sustainability issues, SDGs issues. I need some delegate from the 3 countries give a question or maybe give a comment how to implementation SDGs in your country. Or maybe the other countries just preparing, make a question or comment. Yep, from the right side. Thank you. Just please introduce your name. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Kresna from Directorate General of Mineral and Coal. So I would like to ask to Ms. Dewi Fitriasari, how do you see the differences between reporting about CSR and community development in our country? Because in government in our country make regulations about CSR, focusing in community development. We call it with community development, not CSR. And companies always ask us about the reporting, because we have a different regulations, different reporting between ComDev and CSR. Because in community development we have 8 aspects, you know, and they. I mean, in this material, mining companies must be followed about the 8 aspects. But in the other side, they must do the SSR too. So can you explain to us, and what do you think, and how government can make a good regulation in the future, I mean, for the community development? Thank you.
Maybe I just collect for one question and maybe another.
My name is Ricky from Kaltim Prima.
Okay, thanks.
I would like to have a question to Ms. Velasquez. How far is the sustainability reporting implementation in your country, especially in extractive industries?
Okay, I give 4 questions.
Okay, thank you. My name is Rudy from KPC. For Ms. Catherine, in Philippines, is CSR or community development is a an obligation or only a voluntary? If there any number, how big and how much for a mining company should provide for CSR and or community development? Thank you.
Okay, another ones, the last.
My name is Imran from Malaysia. So,
Thank you.
in regards to your last question, you're wrapping up saying that about sharing session about our country. So, in short, I can say that in Malaysia, basically there is more into voluntary reporting. So, most likely the companies like big companies, listed companies, they actually report to the Bursa, which is they share all the informations on their financial, and at the same time they report what are the contribution in terms of CSR in their annual report. So the government in this note does not really look into deeply into the mechanism on how we report the CSR. Nevertheless, it kind of from these sessions, I can say that it's very encouraging for us to consider that approach. Thank you.
So, returning to the question, what's the difference between CSR and community development? In academic level, in a research level, what we say is that in CSR, you can talk about environment and society with the society as the starting point of your activities, while in the community development, you will focus more, this is what we see in the academic understanding, you will focus more on the economy of the people. So the difference is very thin. If Indonesia decides to embrace community development as the priority of the SDG, or what I see before is actually the human development, human resource development as the priority of SDG, it is the right of a country to decide that. But what is more important is how it is measured and how it is reported. Is there any systematic structure to report it? The difference is very thin. The perspective is just the same, people first, because people are the agent that really change the environment and also change one another. So how can we manage people to be more responsible in conducting their economic activities? Is that answering your question, Bapak? Thank you.
It's okay? It's okay. That's the point. The point thing is just the objectivity for the CSR and the community development, but from the Mr. Han said this CSR is more concerned with the organization, yeah, from the business, and ComDev is more concerned with the people. Okay, and the second one question?
For the sustainable reporting, the government continuously engaged with the EITI, and however, the companies or the extractive industries, it's voluntary. The EITI is voluntary. That's why not all companies participated. But our department, the Department of Energy, is making a department circular mandating the stakeholders to participate in the AITI. And for the CSR obligation, for the energy sector, social development plan is within the contract of the companies, and also if CSR is an obligation, it's within the company if they will do this or not. What we are requiring them is the social development plan, and this is also the funds here in the social development plan are also required by the laws and be reported to the EITI.
Maybe the audience will help us to more clearly about the presentation.
Yes, good morning.
Finance.
I just want to share the Philippines experience in the CSR and the SDP. The CSR is an initiative of the companies. It's not mandated. They have their own corporate social responsibility projects. So we are not allowing them, or we are not requiring them. However, for the social development plan, we require the companies to put it in the work program. The difference between the social development plan is that it can be cost recovered. Because we have cost recovery in our contract system. But for the CSR, it's the company's initiative, and we don't allow the cost recovery of the expenses of the companies. So that is the setup in the Philippines. And if I may share on the Philippine EITI, so sustainability, we're talking of sustainability, so we have to, this kind of industry, the mining industry, we have to build trust and confidence with stakeholders so that they will realize the benefits coming from the extractive industry. So we are transparent in the financial matters, so that even the civil society or the NGOs will know how much the company paid and how much is in the government and how the government uses the funds. So that I think is the sustainability for a mining project and for the social acceptability of our coal mining projects. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe I just conclude, if I'm not wrong, this transparent from the financial means this focus from the ITE extractive industrial transparency initiative. It is transparent of the financial and the cost of the environment and natural resources more, because they talk about the data. It is correct. It is correct, yeah. That means it's make more sustainable to produce SDGs. That's why they more talking about the financial, and then they get a correlation and try to explain, because the more explain about the transparency about the financials means more sustainable to produce SDGs activity. I mean, if I'm not wrong, yeah? Okay, I have one question from the Malaysian delegate. This is a question or just give a comment? Because
it's just a sharing statement since you asked how the Malaysia situation.
Yeah.
In short, I can summarize it again. In Malaysia, basically, we are more into service industry. So we did not go into mining industry as much as Indonesia and Philippines. Yeah. So in terms of CSR reporting, so basically all the publicly listed company in Malaysia actually need to produce an annual report. Mm-hmm. So in that particular annual report, they have sections on CSR, which cover and denotes everything in how much they use and how much.
Yeah.
So the government in Malaysia does not regulate or impose anything, so it's more onto voluntary basis.
Yeah.
So that's just for a sharing
Yeah,
session.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then, thank you so much for coming. And before we get the lunch, maybe I give time to the MC, Ms. Riris. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Please give a round of applause for our moderator and speakers in this session. Thank you, Ms. Linda. And also, we would like to invite Mr. Wawan Setiawan, General Manager External Affairs and Sustainable Development from PT Kaltim Prima, to please join us on stage. Mr. Wawan will hand over the souvenirs to our moderator and speakers. Right. Here we go. This is the token of appreciation from the committee to the speakers and also moderator. First will be given to Miss Dewi Fitriasari. Boleh kita berikan tepuk tangan Bapak dan Ibu. Thank you for sharing with us today. Secondly will be given to Miss Catherine Velasquez from the Philippines. Thank you so much. Long way from the Philippines to Balikpapan. And last will be given to Miss Linda Wati. Thank you, Miss Linda. Now let's take photo together. Boleh berfoto bersama, Ibu-ibu dan Bapak?